From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One ball, corner pocket.
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hutchavandi
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, Renegade Express. Questions about the Noles in the draft. Is Mike Norvell superior to Jimbo Fisher? And the portal is on the front of everybody's mind still. Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill in Tallahassee, Florida. CPTallybar.com, the website. Hey, Corey, our guy Seminole Mike 1 wrote into the show. He started his question off, though, with, I was hanging out in the Destin area over a long Easter weekend, took a side trip to some of these Flora Bama bars, made sure I stopped through Tallahassee on the way home and had lunch at the CP. Wife had a burger, I had some wings, and the ham and Swiss Sammy, since it was Easter Sunday. I forget the name of the wing sauce the waitress recommended, but it was spot on. A combo of lemon pepper and another sauce. So, another satisfied customer, everybody. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, CPTallybar.com. Do you know this combo sauce at all, Corey? Does it sound familiar?
I don't. I usually just get, because I'm a baby, I just get the mild. I could ask Stephanie when we get a break. She might know it. Honey Gold, maybe, something like that. But look, man, ask the waitresses. They know the deal. They've all been there a good long while, so they know what's good. Well, it's all good, but they know the right things to order. And the ham and cheese, man, I'm telling you, that thing is on point. I ordered it last week. I'll be honest with you, it had a little spicy mustard on it. Burned the nose hairs a little bit, Aslan.
Wasn't the horseradish, it was spicy mustard.
Maybe it was the horseradish. Is that what it was? Is that what's on it?
Yeah.
Oh boy, that burned made my eyes tear up. But it was really good. That thing is a really good sandwich.
Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. Won't you hit the thumbs up if you're on YouTube? Subscribe to the YouTube page, totally free. 5-star rating and review. Podcast is totally free. All the good stuff behind the paywall. It's only $29.99, though, everybody. Join Warchant.com. Be on the lookout for a live recruiting chat with myself and Michael Langston. We might actually even have a commitment for the 2024 class live with us from 6 to 7 o'clock, or at least for a window of time. So check that out, as well as the Jeff Cameron Show later on today. Trust that you're doing well, Corey. Should we start with the questions?
Let's just go. Let's go right to it, buddy. Let's go right to it.
Old Dad's a Noles says to wake up. When I went to the basketball portal to look at who was in there, shockingly, I saw a ton of 4-star players. Then I went back and looked at our starters. Sure enough, saw the same thing. We already had a team of 4 stars. I realized our team just wasn't very good, but how are we not just going to trade average players to what very well would be more average players? Or could it be the fact that we already had 4-star players who just didn't receive the best coaching is the elephant in this room? Some thoughts I had before cruise next week. Old Dad.
Hey, well, have fun on the cruise.
Yeah.
Cruises are fun. I learned that a month ago. Yeah, look, man, when it comes to the star rankings, people outplay or underplay in some cases, as we've seen, their star rankings all the time. So I don't think you got to look. I wouldn't look at it from what they are star rankings wise. I'd look at it from what they produced at the college level, and just go from there. Like Jalen Worley was a borderline 5-star coming out of high school. Is he a 5-star?
Don't think
Clearly
so.
not.
No.
Clearly not. And you could use examples the other way, obviously. So there are guys that have played way ahead of their star ranking. So I wouldn't get hung up on that. I would get hung up on maybe adding some pieces, Leonard. Now it's a good time, man. It's a good time to go ahead and just start doing it. But yeah, I would look more at the production, not like if you could get the kid. I don't think the kid from Georgetown's committed yet. I think he might even be visiting.
I think it's down to 2 schools now. I think it's just us in Kansas, or I shouldn't say that. I don't know. I'll look it up. But yeah,
but either way, he has it. Primo Spears is not committed yet, and I don't know what he was coming out of high school, rankings wise. But I know he averaged 16, and he was one of the leading scorers and leading assist guys in the Big East, like 16 and a half and 5.5. So he's outplayed. I have to imagine he's outplayed what his star ranking was coming out of high school. So I would be focused more on that than what they were 2 or 3 years ago.
Spears looked to not even be ranked by any of the major networks coming out of high school. So
okay.
He went to Duquesne straight out of school. So
there's already a Florida State connection.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was bummed watching that season opener
last
year.
Hopefully
like,
it doesn't penalize us. Don't penalize us for that, Primo.
Yeah, they took it easy. Tate Rodemaker played most of the second half, so they didn't run up the score, primo.
B50, good morning. Not hitting the panic button yet. But when do we start to get a little concerned about the eligibility of Darrell Jackson? The eye on the stove is starting to get warm now with Joshua Farmer's departure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. It's a fair question. I just think the NCAA moves at the speed of syrup falling down a tree. Or that's not syrup, is it? It's like molasses that they turn into syrup.
Glacial. How about they move glacial?
They do glacial. I was still trying to what comes out of the tree that makes syrup?
Sap?
Is it molasses? Sap. Okay, I don't know. Hey guys, we're not foresters here.
We're not Vermontans.
We don't live in Cairo. We don't know how do they make syrup. But yeah, so they move very, very slowly. So that to me is what bothers me about the whole thing, is that there's no new information that needs to be added. His mom is sick. He came home to be closer to her. What's the holdup, man? He's been here since. Didn't he make this decision in December?
Somewhere
we're almost in May. So this is everybody's problem with the NCAA, because look, man, it does matter. Like if all of a sudden, if the NCAA comes out on August 1st and says Darrell Jackson's not eligible, well, what do you do then? If they came out right now and said Darrell Jackson's not eligible, then you got some pieces you can move. You got some plays to make. Because the portal's still open, and you can maybe, it's against the rules, but maybe you can entice someone to enter a portal that's not there yet. There's all these things you can do in the next 3 or 4 days if you knew. Or even in the next week and a half or 2 weeks while these guys are still on the market. But when they're off the market and then they come and say that one of your big-time transfers can't play, well, that sucks. So hopefully they will make this declaration very soon. And I don't think the fact that it's taken this long changes my opinion that he will probably get it. It's just how the NCAA operates. I mean, I've always thought it was about a 90% chance. I still do. You just wish I wouldn't look into it other than the NCAA takes a long time to do anything.
Right. And also I trust the way that this staff operates. They seemingly are pretty good when it comes to the bureaucratic stuff of getting this stuff pushed through and approved. So, but in terms of like when to get worried about it, I don't know. Yeah. Like June, like if we don't hear anything about like late June, then I'll be concerned. But I guess to your point though, Corey, like that doesn't necessarily mean that it won't come through, but it just natural anxiety might start creeping into your psyche when you're like, oh boy, we're about to start these player run practices. And after that, we got preseason camp and we don't know what's going on with him. But yeah, should be okay there. Should be okay. Noel Boyo 2. This begins our NFL draft portion of the program. Noel Boyo 2 starts us off with, hey, Aslan and Corey, wake up. Who is the greatest draft steal from FSU? Our guy Derek, XDQ004, asks, who are the two biggest draft surprises, good or bad, in FSU history? So he thinks Rashad and Charlie were surprising. Can't believe Rashad dropped to the 5th round. Charlie, no, he wasn't prototypical, but he played quarterback at a high level, intangibles. Him, though, was the fact that he was going to go to the NBA, so that's why teams, I think, were cool off him. But
and they told him, they didn't say if you don't draft me in the first round, don't draft me. But Charlie Ward said if you don't draft me in the first round, I can't guarantee I'm not going to try to play basketball. Yeah. And so none of the teams thought he was worth the first-round pick. And then none of the teams thought that, okay, we'll draft him in the 3rd round. But also it was a different time, man. It's 30 years ago.
Right.
Athleticism, other things certainly came into play when it came to that position at the time with those Neanderthals that used to run NFL teams back then and the way they thought. And so I do think that had something to do with it. But more than anything, I think it was the size. Not more than anything, but the size and the fact that he and his agent both said, I can't promise I'm going to play football if I'm not a first-round pick. No. So they're like, all right, well, then go play basketball. Good luck. And then, of course, he plays for a decade and makes a ton of money. And his body, he can walk. So it all worked out.
So I don't know. I was thinking that he's kind of covered both bases, XEQ, in terms of like surprises. I thought it was like surprised that their career didn't work out, surprised with where they went. I guess Rashad is in there. I mean, Jameis is up there in terms of surprise. Just did not foresee him being this far into his NFL career and not having been into a playoff game. Greatest draft steal, Brad Johnson, Corey, 9th round pick, was a franchise quarterback for, 5-6 years in the NFL, won a Super Bowl. pretty
Yeah,
good, I think.
especially for a backup. Did he get drafted? I don't
Yeah,
even know if
ninth round.
Okay,
by
he
the
wouldn't have been
Vikings.
drafted in this day and age because
Right.
it only goes 7. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, yeah, he's I don't know if he was an ever All-Pro, but he started for a decade and won a Super Bowl. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
He's the most successful quarterback, I guess, in Florida State history, right? If you look at the team accomplishments and how long he played as a starter. Yeah, man, is Derek Brooks count?
He actually offered up Derek Brooks. He thought first on an NFL Pro Football Hall of Famer sliding to the back of the first round, in his opinion, would be there. If people want to go really far back, Bolitnikoff was drafted 3rd round of the NFL draft, so he was pretty.
I'll
good.
say this too. I thought Jernigan, what did he get popped for weed or something at the combine? I thought Jernigan was one of the top 15 players in the United States when he came out of college, and him going into the 2nd round was surprising in a bad way. A few of those guys were 2nd rounders that I thought would be or worse in the case of Rashad.
Diluted sample.
Oh, that's right.
So,
that's right.
yeah.
And clearly, look, man, he didn't have a long career, but he was good when he played in the NFL. He certainly could play at that level. And for guys that maybe didn't live up to the draft ranking, Peter Warrick's number 1, I think, on that list because I couldn't fathom that he wasn't going to be an All-Pro for 10 years. But I like Derek Brooks because, what was he, the 26th pick or something? And he might be the best outside linebacker that's ever walked the earth. And you got him late in the 1st round. In the same draft, I think they got Warren Sapp.
Yeah, correct. 28th overall, D. Brooks.
28 for Derek Brooks. Now, look, that's a 1st rounder, so it's hard to say that he got, he was, I don't know, like that he should be too upset. And
Derek Alexander got drafted ahead of him. Teammate Derek Alexander got drafted ahead of him.
Yeah, exactly. And Derek Alexander was a good player, a nice player in the NFL. He was not a Hall of Famer.
No.
I think Leroy Butler, he was a 2nd round pick, right?
He actually had Leroy Butler thrown in there as well in the conversation.
But I don't think I expected Leroy Butler to be like a top 10 pick. I thought Derek Brooks would be like one of the first 5 picks in the draft. And then he ends up going 28th, which was like, what did y'all watch? Was it Foot Locker? Because he was caught up in Foot Locker, so he took some clothes, so he's suspended for the first 4 games of his senior year. And then he came back a little out of shape that last year. And then, of course, he ends his career by intercepting Werfel to wrap up the Sugar Bowl win. But was it that caused people to back off? Because the Falcons passed on him. And I don't know who the Falcons took in that draft.
Well, they took Devin Bush.
I love you, Devin.
Well, here's
one
come
linebacker.
On, man.
Good grief.
One linebacker got drafted ahead of Derek Brooks. He went 13th overall to the New Orleans Saints, and no one but his family knows who he is. Mark Fields.
So it's like the guy that got – was it Dyson? They got drafted ahead of Randy Moss. He was one of the receivers.
Oh.
So that to me still, I think that because of – it wasn't like Leroy Butler you didn't know because he played corner, he played safety. You weren't sure where he fit in the NFL. I can understand him dropping a little. I cannot and will never understand Derek Brooks dropping a little. With that size, speed, and intelligence and production and all this, and one is one of the best players in the country, and he goes to 28th, and then he becomes the player we all here in Tallahassee knew he was going to be. So I think that's my answer. Anyway, we went too long on that one, but that's my answer.
It was also, right now to think about that, it's crazy. But back then, it was still a running predominantly league, and they probably thought he was undersized. But he was there at the cusp of it evolving.
And also EJ and Ponder both were surprising with how high they went. I know for a fact Jimbo didn't think EJ was going to be a first rounder. We talked to him in the spring. It might have been the day of the draft, and he was talking to us and thought he'd be picked midway in the 2nd round. And then he got picked like 16th overall or whatever it was. So that was a surprise.
Noel Boyo, too, also offered up Dalvin. I'm sure a lot of people are yelling Dalvin at their monitors or their phones. That's not a bad one.
Correct. Yeah, the Bucks could have had him, right? I don't know who
well,
everybody could have had him. Yeah, everybody could have had
2nd
Dalvin.
round,
Yeah.
Also, then last draft question, my truth. Jalen Carter, Anthony Richardson, do they go in the top 10?
Yeah.
I think Carter
so.
does. I don't know.
I don't think they're going to – teams can act like they're worried about his off-the-field stuff and this and that, and maybe he wasn't in the best shape. That talent jumps off the film, and all these NFL teams trust that they can turn this guy, or if they think he has any character issues at all, that they can alleviate him. And talent wins out all the time, and that guy is an immense talent. So I would be stunned I would be upset if the Falcons don't take him, quite honestly, at 8. And then Richardson, I guess, man. Is Will Levis going number 1? I mean, what in the world is going on with the NFL? They will never get quarterbacking right, ever.
Oh, man. Nole Dad for life. Corey, I had a pasta bar at my wedding. Worked out great. Multiple different pasta, sauces, add-ins. It was a hit. We even had Olive Garden-style breadsticks. Helps to absorb some alcohol as well, so nobody goes too crazy. LOL.
That's not a bad play. The worry I would have with a pasta bar is I think it's going to be outdoors. It might be warm weather. And with pasta sauces, especially like the white ones, the vodka sauce kind of stuff, or the cream sauces, would they stay? Would they keep?
Yeah, there's chafers or whatever.
Hour?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know. I don't know how outdoor pasta bars work. So, yeah, that's not a bad idea, though.
Question, gentlemen. When, not if, when ESPN's College Game Day comes back to Tallahassee, what personality from that show would you want to be a guest on Wake Up or any other Warchant programming?
Herb Street.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I like Herb Street. I do. I know he, well, like everybody in that position is going to have some detractors. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. He is a college football fan, first and foremost. He was a former player, and I think he respects what we've all come to love about this sport. And he played the sport. I mean, he's the quarterback at Ohio State, so he knows it. And, I think I just like his perspective more often than not. And he's not shticky.
Right.
He's just who he is. He just he tells it like how he sees it. And I've always kind of appreciated about him. And if not him, McAfee.
Okay, yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, I think we could probably get Kirk on the show. We just have to let him plug his sausage company, not his company, but he hawks brats and stuff. I don't know if that'd be conflict with registers though. We'll have to run it by legal. We'll have to run it
by the way,
legal.
now that I just saw it on Twitter as we're doing it, we don't want to not talk about it. Old Derek McClendon committed to Colorado.
Yeah, I saw that earlier. Yeah, I was, figuring when we get back to, there's a Fuller question coming up. Figured I'd.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, but yeah,
it's all right. Was worth mentioning. He though was not listed on the Seminoles.com roster after he said he was going to the portal.
Josh Farmer still is.
Josh Farmer's still
checked?
there.
Okay, all right, Jay Farm. Are you hanging? Hey, is it a little back and forth going on?
Hanging around.
Hey, you got we're counting down the days, right? Yeah. April 30th. Yeah, I wonder if it's April 30th at midnight. So the 29th.
He's still in there though. As long as he doesn't pull. Well, no,
I don't think he's in the portal
yet.
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, you're right. No, you're right.
But so I wonder if it's like the 29th right up until midnight going into the 30th, or is it the midnight of 30th going into the 31st?
Like 11:59 p.m. is the. I think it might be 11.
It is 11:59 p.m. on the 30th, probably.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody's still got to wait out 4 more days.
Steal his phone if you know Joshua.
Yeah.
Steal his phone. Keep it away from him. Let's get back to Seminole Mike 1. He had a question. It's been a minute since I've seen the tribal council clamoring for this or that coach to be portaled. Seems like Adam Fuller's seat is cooled. There aren't any more easy targets. John Papuchis is the defensive ends and special teams coach. Obviously, one area has performed well. The other one, while improved, continues to find consistent footing. Here's my question. Is the defensive end coaching primarily Papuchis, or is it heavily influenced by Odell? Scratching my head on the Farmer move, but nobody promised a smooth ride to September. Which somebody also commented on our show yesterday and was saying that we get, you don't want to lose the precious pieces. But think about Georgia, like them losing Jermaine Johnson. Part of the game, charged to the game. Bit Nerd, I think, was the name of the person who posted that. Thanks for the comment, bud. Hopefully that is your name on the boards, obviously, not in real life. There's a lot of Odell on the defensive line. Hopefully, when you guys are you're watching the videos that I'm out there
busting your
filming.
rump.
Well, not really, but it's there. Click on it. Come on, everybody. But there's a lot of drills that it's the front four is going through together, and it's Odell leading the charge. Very rarely, if ever, do I see John Papuchis coaching like an entire defensive line segment. Now, some guys might come through to his station during some of the individual drills during the beginning parts of practice, but Odell's the guy that, whether it's hitting the sled or getting them lined up and going through stunts and things like that, it's a lot of Odell. Not to take away from what John Papuchis does, but yeah, there's Odell Hagens is simply, he's more than just your interior defensive line out there.
Correct. Yeah, they all defensive linemen work with Odell at some point, and I don't know because again we go up, so we're down there when they're all working with Odell. That's like the second period.
Yeah,
they all sprint. Oh, when they're all racing Norvell, they're sprinting to that corner to go work with Odell for 5 or 10 minutes or whatever it is. But then I don't know if they also all go work with Papuchis while we're up in the baseball stadium. I don't quite pay attention as much to the defensive line drills when we're 500 yards away from them. But, Papuchis is doing work too. But, yes, Odell, I guess you'd say, is instrumental in teaching them some techniques about getting off the ball. But Papuchis, I mean, that is his – I guess that is his full-time job, right, as D-ends. Yeah. So he is coaching them, just like Chris Thompson coaches the tight ends. But, yeah, there's other people that are especially Odell. Odell works with them not equally, but he does work with them every day too.
Yeah. When we're starting to get up there to Hauser, by the time we make it up there, the defensive ends are going through like primarily just straight pass rush stuff that Papuchis puts them through. They've got the tackling dummy. They've got to go around the cones and then get to the dummy and smack the ball loose. Like he's keeping a handle on that. And then when they break out into the sort of, the 2-on-3 drills, a lot of stuff that Tom Lang sort of charts out for the folks on warchant.com. They're both there, hands-on, Papuchis and Odell talking to their guys. So, it's very, very simpatico. A lot of synergy going on down there. Thanks for the question, Seminole Mike 1. Check out vitaminenergy.com, y'all. Use the promo code WARCHAMP, BOGO, B-O-G-O. That gets you an item of equal or lesser value for absolutely free. Going to pound the Vitamin Energy Workout Plus drum still, everybody. I like it. Like it a lot, Corey. It's got the citrulline. Yeah. It's got the carnitine. As we mentioned, one is a vasodilator. Opens up your blood vessels. Gets a little bit of pump. I just think about that. I'm in the gym. I get a pump all the time. I'm pumped when I'm in the gym and that kind of stuff. And also the other one apparently turns fat into energy. So that's great. Like, I don't want fat on my body, but I could use energy, and it does that. I get 7 hours of it. No sugar crash. VitaminEnergy.com, promo code WARCHAMP, BOGO. Corey, have you been rocking the sweatband, headband? I keep meaning to take mine to the gym on the days I run after my workouts, but I've not yet to do it. But it feels super absorbent. I can't wait to rock it.
I've done it a couple of times, and then I keep losing it in my car. It's not really a what would you call it?
It's like a shirt sleeve, but it's a sweatband. That's what it
is. It's not a do-rag necessarily, but it looks more like a do-rag than like a Jackie Moon headband wrapped around. The one that I use sometimes too, which looks ridiculous on me. But I'm doing it, man. I don't care. And I'm telling you, when I'm done with it, when I'm done running and working out, and for an hour, that thing, and I squeeze it, it is pretty disgusting.
We're tapping out.
All right, sorry.
What's not disgusting? VitaminEnergy.com. Dozens of flavors and varieties. Check it out. VitaminEnergy.com, promo code WARCHAMP, BOGO, B-O-G-O.
And they're Noles. We'll always remember they're Noles, everyone.
Island Chief, wake up! You guys continue to have great podcasts exploring and explaining the nuances of Seminole athletics to us out here in the catbird seats. A reference to Red Barber, a favorite. I grew up reading Mizell, Bishop, Pope, Murray, writing in newspapers about sports. Social media was leaving the paper behind for the next guy. Who did you read? McGrotha was the wake-up of his time. Well, I think that's really high praise. Thank you for that.
It is, yeah. And it's such a different age now, right? Like as far as newspapers go, there just aren't those. I mean, it was a really fun time for me. I got to do it for 4 years. I got to be the columnist of the local paper, and that was really cool. It was a neat title. It was a neat life, a neat role. I kind of felt like I was part of the community, and I got to write about things other than necessarily Florida State sports all the time. So that was neat. It was just cool that like people. I don't know how many did, but people would like wake up and look forward to reading my columns. What did Corey Clark have to say today? I don't think it happened clearly not as much as when McGrotha was around. And McGrotha, by the way, when we go to nolefan.org, he was writing stuff in the 50s. Like he was writing game stories from like when Buddy Reynolds, old Burt Reynolds was the halfback. Bill McGrotha's writing stories about it. And then he's also writing stories about Casey Weldon. It's just crazy the lifespan that he had doing that, and obviously never even close to that. But for me personally, in the Atlanta, Mark Bradley, I guess we didn't. He was all right, and he's still around. He's still at the AJC. Steve Hummer was very good, but I didn't have that AJC Furman Bisher, but by the time I got into reading sports pages, he was a little too old and past his prime. So there weren't really a lot of columnists in Atlanta that I looked forward to reading.
Yeah, I mean, we got the St. Petersburg Times, now the Tampa Bay Times.
Yeah, that's a real paper. You had a real good paper.
Yeah, I never, Mizell, I think was maybe a little too highbrow for 12-year-old Aslan. I think Gary Shelton was another guy, but I never really liked reading columns as a kid. I mean, I've read the sports section like front to back and the transactions column, the page, and all that kind of stuff. But I never dove into the columns. But I do know that Hubert Mizell was obviously a big deal for folks in the Bay Area. So I respect what they did and how important they were. And to Corey's point, they're part of the community. But we'll be here. I mean, shoot, Ira was covering Stanford Samuels and Stanford Samuels Jr. So
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Before you know it, Corey, you'll be covering Jameis's son, and then
that's right.
You'll be the McGrath of your time.
I'll never be as old as Ira, though. That's the beauty of it. And yeah, look, that's the difference in media, in the way we consume media in 2023, right? I don't read columnists anymore. I mean, I read Ira, but I don't read I don't go to a daily newspaper and read columnists, but I do listen to podcasts. And I feel like and look, man, I hope you guys are reading my stuff on Warchant. You need to.
You do.
But I'm talking about daily newspapers, and so you should read Ira and I. Because we're good writers. Mm-hmm. We are, right, Aslan? We're not bad at it. It's what we've been doing for a long time. But the way the media platform is shifted, it is a lot of podcasting too, and that's where you get a lot of your voice out there too. So, what are you gonna do?
Our guy Mark in Naples, wake up! How many draft picks for the 2023 Noles who will move on? He would set the over/under at 6. Is that too many or just about right?
I would say over.
Well, it's one of those things where you talk about.
But I think it's a good number.
Well, I guess we're assuming we're talking about the 2024 draft, right? We're not talking about who
the
played
2020
for this team.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, when you get into talking about the 2013 team and that graphic with everybody on the field, and you're like, all these guys are in the NFL, and it's like, well, but they all didn't get drafted the same year. So, I mean, yeah, Jordan's going to get drafted. Benson's going to get drafted. Johnny's going to get drafted. Verse, Fabian, that's 5.
I think both defensive tackles, Fisk and Jackson, will be.
Renardo Green, I'll go over 6.
Cypress, maybe. Then you're not even talking about Robert Scott, Jeremiah Byers, Casey Roddick. I mean, who knows? Toafili. I mean, Toafili might be, in this day and age in the NFL, a guy like Toafili might have himself a role and be in the league for a good long while. He's not going to ever be a feature back. He's not Dalvin, but he's a third down back that is a mismatch. So, there's endless literally Azaria Thomas. I don't know. Shaheem Brown. I mean, I think now that I think about it, I think I'd put the over about 8.5. Because we're not talking about, like you said, we're not talking about the 2024 draft necessarily. We're just talking about guys.
I was
just about this draft.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I'd say I might bump it up 1. Let's say 7.
Okay, because I was about to say,
a good over-under.
You start talking about Shaheem. Shaheem's got to wait another year. He's not eligible for next year.
Well, he would be. Yeah, he would be. It'd be his 3rd year.
No.
Yeah, it would be. He was here as a freshman, didn't play.
Oh,
he was here last year as a sophomore and blocked a PAT, and then this year would be his 3rd year.
PFF says his draft eligible year is 2025. So
PFF is dumb.
Well, I apologize. Back to Mark's question here. If I could get back to the right tab. I got so many tabs open on this computer, and I'm not going to get to the right one. Did I close it? What happened, Aslan? Tighten up. Yeah, there it is. Found it, Corey. Other question. Whose 4-year run will be more impressive in the history of Florida State University football? Jimbo Fisher, 2011 to 2014, or Mike Norvell, 2020 through 2023? Now, I know Jimbo obviously has more wins. His recruiting was elite early in his tenure, but he took over a program that was still in pretty decent shape. He built an all-time roster by 13, but then you could see the decline in culture and recruiting starting in 14. Mike, on the other hand, got off to a rough start for many reasons outside of his purview. He took over a train wreck, but in 3 years, 2 if you don't count COVID, he has the team ready to roll in 2023, and they seem really hungry for more. Go Noles. I appreciate you guys very much.
If So he included 2023, right?
Yes, this coming season, yes.
If Norvell wins a national championship this year, we can have this conversation. Otherwise, let's not. I mean, you had a 29 game winning streak. You had 29 draft picks in a 3-year span, which was a record at the time. That I know, I get it. Context matters, but Florida State was not as awful as they were when Norvell took over, but they were not rolling. You know, they were 7-6 3 of the previous 4 years. So we got to give Jimbo his due. That was a really impressive turnaround in that 4-year stretch that culminated in a national championship. I just don't think you can dismiss that. Now, if Norvell wins a national championship, going from the depths of Hades that we were all in, the 2020 season, Dabo's calling you a coward, the 2021 season when Jacksonville State beats you on a ridiculous end of the game, to then winning a national championship 2 years later, yes, I think he jumps the line, and that would be more impressive than what Jimbo did. But that's a big, big, big if. And that's even if he gets to the playoff, even if he gets to the national championship game, it still won't be as. I mean, I think you got to win it to be in the conversation.
All right, let's move on. Next question. I don't have anything I'd add to that one. I like what you said. Seminole Dean. Hey there, Aslan and Corey. He refers to us as ANC.
Okay, nice.
A couple days ago, I heard you talking about old games. I love the victories, but I always lament the losses more.
Yep, like poker hands.
Yeah, we would get along, Seminole Dean. Just,
that's right.
Yeah, the thrill of victory is amazing, but the emotional reaction to the agony of defeat is just greater. It's more acute for me than the thrill of victory. Plus, it's like Florida State football. Yeah, we've won like 80% of our games since I've been alive. I get it. We're awesome. The ones that get away, that's what hurts.
Yep.
That said, he doesn't want to bond with me. He wants to bond with you, Corey. So here, question for you. Test of your memory. It's 1991. I remember thinking we were unstoppable, especially after Michigan, and spending all year scoring on everyone and nobody scoring much on us. Then our offense goes all cheeks, which is it's a term.
Buns too. It went buns. That's the same thing, right? Buns
sure,
and cheeks.
Yeah. Old dad and people of your ilk. Cheeks is like things are going the wrong way.
Yeah.
When it goes all cheeks, it went all cheeks when we played the Canes and the Gates. We drive the ball, but we cannot get into the end zone. Then we score a single touchdown in the Cotton Bowl. Do we know what happened that year and why our offense seemingly fell off of a cliff? Back then, I was much more rah-rah than analytical. Frankly, it's the second most disappointing season after 98, losing Winky before the bowl when we were badass and would have rolled the Vols.
Well, look, the easy explanation, and people that were old enough to remember it, is the offensive line got decimated. There was a game in Baton Rouge back when LSU was terrible. Florida State was number 1, and it was a monsoon. I was there. It was also the night that Kirby Puckett hit the walk-off in Game 6 of the World Series against the Braves to send it to Game 7, which the Braves then eventually lost as well. And so you lost like 3 or 4 starters, I think, on that offensive line that day. Now, Kevin Mancini and guys like that tried to come back. They tried to play. In Miami was like 2 weeks later, or maybe the next week. What was after LSU? Was it Louisville? So they beat LSU like 26-17, maybe, something like that. And then they played, but they got decimated. Casey Weldon had to come out of that game.
Yes, Louisville. Look at you. LSU, then Louisville. Yep.
So then Louisville, Brad Johnson started and played the whole game because Weldon was banged up. But also the offensive line was banged up. And they played Miami, and those offensive linemen tried to play in that game. It did not go well. They could not run all that well. They also, they just, Terrell could have made a catch for a touchdown. Amp Lee, if the ball's thrown a little bit farther by Weldon, that's a walk-in touchdown. And they'd get inside the 10 and have to settle for short field goals, which if you're a Florida State fan of a certain age, that happened quite a bit in big games. But then, so the next week, so they moved the ball all right against Miami. They just struggled in the red zone. And then after they lost that game, I feel like they sat like 3 of those injured offensive linemen knowing they couldn't play for the national championship. They did not play against Florida, and that's why that offense was just a train wreck. They couldn't run on anyone. I think against Florida, they was a 14-9.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then 10-2 they beat. Yeah, so the last 3 games of the 91 season, I believe they scored a total of 3 touchdowns total. Well, that's terrible. So yes, but I think you go back to the LSU game and all the injuries they suffered and the offensive line kind of being decimated.
So what happens when you play big boy football? Come play them SEC teams.
Man, LSU was awful too. That was the year after they beat them like a drum, like 49-3 or whatever in Tallahassee, and then they had the fight at the end of the game. With the players had Bowden, because it was Bowden's 200th win, I think, at Florida State, and they were carrying him off the field, and then they saw the fight on the LSU sideline, and they threw him down so they could go join the fight.
Nice.
Yeah, and so the next year was in Baton Rouge.
Awesome, man. That's
Yeah,
Corey Clark, everybody.
You did it.
I mean, shoot, we love his columns, but we love those tales as well on the podcast.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, I'm trying to teach the younger folks a little bit of history, man. A little bit of I know y'all probably listen to other FSU podcasts for some reason. I don't get it, but fine, do it. But and that's a joke, by the way. But also, like, they don't. That's the stuff you get here, right, Aslan?
Yeah.
You get some history lessons, and I feel like everybody needs a little history lessons.
Yeah, we let Corey breathe. We give him the room to explore the space.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, here's an interesting one. Dalvinism. Wake up. Big picture question. Do you think the open media practices and daily practice reports make our up-and-coming players more vulnerable to be poached by opposing teams? If it were not for the constant hype Josh Farmer was receiving this spring, he might just be another backup defensive tackle with little experience. But for the past month, we've read every day how much he's developed, and it has drastically changed his value. Not blaming you guys, of course, but maybe it contributed a little bit. All love. 2 exclamation marks afterwards, he says.
I mean, I think I don't know how much validity there is to that, but I don't think it's zero. I do think there is we are lucky enough that we get to watch these practices, and we do comment, and what really helps is Norvell is asked about Farmer, because we watched him and we're like, man, Farmer looks like he's really good. Like, he's really taken a step. And that's when Norvell says, yeah, he's been dominant. So I think Norvell saying he's been dominant and he's just scratching the surface, that plays a factor into Josh Farmer thinking whatever he's thinking. But so I wouldn't blame the media necessarily for that, for the write-ups. But us getting to see Josh Farmer is the reason the question was even asked. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that has something to do with it. I would think, they get all their practice. They get access to all the practice footage. They get access to every rep of every drill they do. That's on their iPads, and they can send that off to anyone at any time. And I think that's going to speak more authoritatively than Corey Clark's observations from a Wednesday practice in April. But I get what you're saying. Yeah. I get that he might think that, I'm awesome. Look at how everybody's talking about me. Look how everybody's tweeting about me and writing about me. I'm awesome. Well, I need to go somewhere where I can showcase my skills and get to play more. That probably has a little something to do with it. But again, the good of being able to know that, being able to tell you guys who's good and who isn't, far outweighs the very, very far outliers of a guy reading Warchant and deciding he needs to go somewhere else. And I'm not saying that's what happened at all. In fact, I don't think that's what happened. But I can understand that perspective.
I wonder if that was the perspective, or, like, does Kirby and Nick, like, one of their quality control guys, is he combing every other, pretty decent program's media clippings to see who they're talking about? Like, hey, Kirby, apparently this one guy's playing really well. Or Brian Kelly,
I guess my counter to that, do we think that, like, Kirby is in the and I know what you're saying, but Kirby is in the business of taking Corey Clark's word?
Not your word necessarily, but to your point, like, quotes from Mike Norvell, like, hey, listen,
yes,
Norvell
right.
This week spoke, and these 4 players, he's been like, this guy's elite, this guy's our most improved player, this guy's going to be special. Like, is there some weird dude on any staff that's, like, basically, aggregating quotes from coaches, hyping up players, and be like, hey, maybe this guy's actually good, we should see if he's available? I don't know. And also, I don't know how easy it is for them to share their huddle footage, because a lot of times the stuff that you'll see is shot on an iPhone, like, off of their iPad. They're not actually, like, uploading it to a website or recording the actual content. I remember when we used to do Trench Talk with Devontae Love Taylor, I was like, hey, man, it'd be cool if you could, maybe you could pull up a play or two and you can kind of outline and show us what you're doing. And he's like, oh, I can't, like, it won't let you log on, and I can't log on and show you, or something. I don't know. There's some.
Oh, really?
I think there's some kind of layer there. from that sort of happening. Guys.
Oh, it's like the Dion lock.
Could be.
Yeah, you're not allowed to look at your own film. By the way, that Colorado came out and said that they had a statement on Wednesday. They said any institution or student athlete that wants their film will get it.
Okay, there you go.
So,
way to get ahead of that one, Dion.
Yep, they did it.
Flynn, hopefully Mike's not listening to that part of the show. Maybe I should.
By the way, I do wonder just about Dion real quick. He has so many champions in the media about what he did at Jackson State and what he's doing at Colorado. And then The Athletic comes out with a story that we all knew was true because the way the program was unfolding, that they were basically going around cutting kids, like basically saying
you're not on Wednesday. Yeah,
you're not on the team anymore. Yeah. You can stay. I think they offered him to stay on scholarship, but you're not on the football team. You are not on the football team anymore because I got to bring in better players than you. I wonder if those people that were championing such, loud champions and fervent champions are still, they don't feel a little icky now. He's going to have 70 new. They're going to have 70 new players on that football team, 65 to 70 new players, and he is literally kicking guys off the team, telling them they're cut, or telling them you need to go look somewhere else because you can't play here. Which I guess that's the reality of life in college football in 2023, but it doesn't mean you have to like it and champion it because it kind of sucks. But that team really sucked, so you had to make some changes.
It definitely had a waft of the cycle of Tuesday was like, oh my gosh, what's going on in Boulder? Look at all these kids leaving. To then on Wednesday, oh no, it's not people like fleeing like a successful operation, or like they see disaster on the horizon. They're being told they're not good enough. They have to leave. It felt very PR from people that are not supposed to be PR.
Which, hey, this is like I think 5 years ago, if this was happening, and it would disgust me. Like legitimately, like these guys, I know their coach left, but they have given 2 years to Colorado football, whatever that means to you, and for you to just come in, you have no connection with this school, this fan base, these players at all, and just say, get out of here, I'm bringing in Travis Hunter and all these other guys, would suck. But it does. It still kind of bothers me, but it doesn't disgust me because look around, man. All these players are leaving too. It works both ways. If you're going to leave for a better deal or for more playing time after you've committed to a school, well, guess what? You're an adult. This is how life works. He wants better players than you. So this is what happens. If you were better, you would have already left last year. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't have it both. That's, Casey Roddick left that program to come play at a better program. No. We don't think that's disgusting. He left because he didn't want to, so I don't know. I just think that 5 years ago, without NIL, without the portal being what it is, I would have had a much harder time with it. Now it's just funny. It's just funny. All his champions are kind of quiet when they realize he's literally kicking players off the team because they're not good enough. Not because they did anything bad off the field, just because they're not good enough, which has kind of been frowned upon in the last 100 years of college football.
Gambling's been frowned upon for like 100 years or so, it seems like, but not anymore, everybody.
Nope.
It's a free and open market out there. Lots of options. Why not choose mybookie.ag? Use a promo code WARCHANT. You'll get an instant cash deposit bonus. They're going to give you money to then gamble and win even more money. Amazing. America, or in this case, I guess, Antigua. MyBookie.ag, promo code is WARCHANT. Only game on the docket coming up here. The Hawks, they're alive. Are they well, though? They're 6-point underdogs at home against Boston. Is Boston going to be nervous, or are they going to be angry, Corey? What do you think about 6 points your Hawks receiving at home?
I mean, that seems like a big number. It's not like these last 3 games could have gone either way. I mean, the Hawks were in it there even at the end of Game 4, and then obviously won Game 5, which is crazy. I couldn't even believe it. I let out a yawp, like a barbaric yawp when Trey hit that shot. And I know they're not winning a championship. I'm not that invested.
I was just
happy
though.
I know, but I was just happy they were in the game.
Yeah.
And then they go and win the thing, which was just nuts. I think 6 is a lot for a home underdog in a situation like this, where the Celtics might feel a little pressure. Yeah, they might be a little tight. Now, they're just a much better team than the Hawks, though, to talk myself out of this right now. They're a much better team than the Hawks. They probably are mad that's not going to be a huge home court advantage. I would say it's cool that the Hawks made them come back to Atlanta. I think it's already been a win for this series. You made those guys have to get on a plane and come back and play again. So I think you've done your job. You've done your work. It's awesome. Maybe they win by I'm going to say the Celtics. I think I'm going to go with the Celtics. I think they're going to win by their starters will be resting with 3 or 4 minutes to go.
Oh, look at that. No faith. Check it out, though. MyBookie.ag. You can bet on anything, anytime, anywhere, including their casino, and the promo code WARCHANT still applies. Check it out. Back at it, Flynn. Over under, he asks. 3 punts fumbled. And, maybe I'm part of the problem here on this, but I've been going back and archiving all the footage from spring here, Corey. So we've got, literally hours of footage of them practicing, but it's just this big glob of footage. So I go back and I organize it, and I organize it to where it's every number on offense 1 to 99, like in sequential order. So if you need Jordan Travis video, you just kind of scroll through the video. Okay. You'll see number 10. You'll see A.J. Duff, and you're like, oh, the next one's going to be Brock Glenn because he's 11, et cetera, et cetera. So like I'm archiving all the video, and it was one day, and it was a bad day, but it was only one day where they had like drop-itis when it came to fielding the punts. So I will take the under on 3 punts fumbled. I'll even raise you, Flynn. 3 punts fumbled or muffed. I will take the under. It was really one bad day, and it was one player that had 2 muffs in that period. I think they'll be fine with Andrevius. Maybe not as much. Maybe he's got more upside than Micah, I think, in terms of like returning the punt. Maybe he'll have a little adventures there, and he'll have to run away at the last second or call a fair catch, and we'll lose a few yards. But I don't think we'll see a bunch of muffs or fumbles from anybody, whoever's back there, if it's not going to be 4.
I think I would throw Winston Wright back there.
Okay.
I just trust him to catch it, and that's by far the most important thing. How many punt returns for touchdowns do you see anymore?
Right.
But you see some muffs. LSU clearly, but they didn't help them lose. It didn't almost lose anything because Florida State didn't score after them. But I think there's so much. Just have somebody back there you can trust to catch it, even if he just falls down after he catches it. But I'm with you. I'm going to say 0. They're not going to get in a spot where they don't know who. Like if Micah just can't get back, if he's not a part of the deal back there, I still think they'll figure it out and have somebody back there they trust to catch it, or they'll tell him not to catch it. We'll go back to those days of I would say run backwards, because if you let it hit, it's going to skip past you 20 yards. So as soon as you decide I'm not catching this, sprint backwards, and then you can catch it on the 3rd hop and save an extra 8 yards. What do you think about that, Aslan? You could teach
bold.
that. It is bold. I mean, they spend half their days practicing special teams, practice fielding punts that are rolling for 50 yards.
It's just such a hard thing to replicate, though, and it's never the same kind of bounce.
I know. It's an oblong ball.
It'll be irrelevant. They'll be scoring so many points. Punt game, whatever. We won't even have anybody back there. We'll be fine. So don't even touch it. We'll be all right. Kurt OFD 78. Wake up, gentlemen. First things first. Congrats to Corey and Stephanie.
Hey, thank you. She says thank you too.
There has been increased chatter on the interwebs about Florida State and Clemson making an exit from the ACC sooner rather than later. One source I've read has said that ACC schools would make $600 million less in TV contract revenue than the SEC from 2023 up until 2036, the year that the ACC grant of rights would expire. That is true, right, Corey? I mean, it's because it's like $30 million a year, and do it over the course of 13 more years. Maybe not 600, but pretty close. I guess it probably factors in that they're going to get a renewed contract, the SEC, with Texas and Oklahoma, and it's going to be huge. Anyhow, ACC Big Ten difference would be even more money. That said, can you discuss what you're hearing, if anything, on this topic, and if you see Florida State in the ACC in the year 2025? Thank you for making my drive to and from work better every morning.
You're welcome.
Nothing sourced on this. 2025, will they still be in the ACC? Probably. Although I'm the guy that's been saying it's going to be 18 months, and that was about 6 months ago, so I only have a year left for all this to kind of start happening. It's going to be so contentious, I would think. Best case for Florida State, if they still are in the ACC in 2025, it'll be so utterly contentious and toxic that they certainly will have some sort of exit plan going, or there'll have been some sort of remedy to stay in this conference and fill in these gaps somewhat, whether it's unequal revenue sharing or some new innovative solution, because there's no way that Florida State's going to hunker down in this conference for 2 more years while that new contract with Texas and Oklahoma being in the SEC and UCLA and USC being in the Big Ten, and be like, all right, well, we'll be creative. We'll find a way out. We'll work smarter, not harder. We won't have to. We'll money ball it. There's no way that's not happening. Not with Michael Alford here.
Yeah, we'll see. I think they'll still be in the ACC in 2025. I think that's very ambitious to think that 2 years from now they'll be in another conference. I mean, when did Texas and Oklahoma decide they were going to the SEC? And they had an easier out, and it still took them a couple of years. So I can't foresee a scenario unless the whole thing is blown up, and the idea of conferences for college football is almost blown up, that Florida State would be somewhere else in 2025. Now, 2028, that's a different story. But 2025, I still think they'll be in the ACC. And we'll all be excited about it.
Shawnee Cash, Mike Norvell using top-level transfer portal management by asking Joshua Farmer to enter the portal, then later withdraw to keep his players from leaving. 4D chess.
Okay. All right. Could be.
Noel dude. Anything else on? Sorry to interrupt.
No, yeah, I got it. 4D chess. I like it.
Noel dude 1015. Wake up. Hello, Aslan and Corey. Corey, congrats on your upcoming nuptials. Where are you having the bachelor party?
Don't know. I don't even know if we're doing one. I think if we do one, it'll be like a bachelor/bachelorette party. Like we'll all just go to a play. Well, maybe we'll go a bachelor cruise.
Okay.
A bachelorette cruise. That'd be fun, right?
Yeah.
All right, just on that. Would you come?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, nice. We could do a show from the boat.
I'm at the age where I'm more likely to go to your bachelor party than I am your wedding. Not you, but like speaking in generalities.
Right.
I'd rather, my friend's like, hey man, I can't afford to swing it or whatever. I'm like, well, come to the bachelor party then.
Yeah.
That's for me.
Well,
the wedding's for us.
You have weddings out of the country. Yeah. Our wedding will be down the road, so you'll be good there. And I don't even know if we're doing a wedding. I think we're just doing a wedding reception. But that'll be close to where you live. So you'll be there.
Let's do the whole, I want to see Corey or I want to see Brady walking down with a ring and everything, like
holding Stephanie's dress up. Yeah, no, she's not wearing a dress. I'm not wearing a tux, so it's going to be pretty low key, I think.
You guys are such pioneers, so progressive, you two.
I know.
I know it's draft week, Noel Dude 1015 says, and everyone's asking about favorite drafts from previous classes. I'm going to ask another question, however. With the upcoming season in mind, if Florida State were to go, let's say, 11-1 and make it to the college football playoff, who on the staff remains after the season, how it would be considering a successful campaign? I am really asking about Alex Atkins and if there's a scenario that keeps him here at FSU. I also have a follow-up question, too. I put down the deposit for the Ireland trip next year. So excited. Okay. So my question is, can you guys, not necessarily the two of you, but Warchant as an entity, find out when the packages and whatnot will be made available? Just looking for any information regarding the trip in addition to what has been already provided. Thanks. You guys are great. Noel Dude 1015. It says I'm a new member, but that's not true. I signed up for the $1 special way back when.
Oh, sweet. All right.
So, somebody started an Ireland thread a few weeks ago. Maybe I'll tag you in that one, Noel Dude, or search. You can search on the boards and type in maybe like Ireland, and there's some people exchanging what they've heard. But we'll keep you updated if we hear anything about the packages and when they go on. What will be made available? I know there's like a golf one. I think there's one that also includes golf with your airfare and the tickets are there. But I'll get you more information. I'll let you know for sure. Noel Dude 1015. All right, Corey. Florida State's 11-1. They're going to Charlotte. Let's say they're 12-1. They've been triumphant in Charlotte. They're headed to the college football playoff. And, I mean, let me just see a team out there. Let's say, what is the SEC, like East team maybe? Like South Carolina hasn't worked out with Shane Beamer. They're sick of him. Alex Atkins is being rumored to be going there. What would keep him here at Florida State?
Or North Carolina maybe.
Yeah.
If Mac Brown doesn't work out. Yeah, man, it's all a matter of when he wants to be a head coach and what opportunity is he willing to jump on. Like I feel like the iron will be the hottest to strike after this season coming up. He'll have been the OC of a very good offense theoretically these last 2 years. He's considered one of the best offensive line coaches in the country. What he's done at Florida State What he and Norvell have done at Florida State in the last 3 years is remarkable. And I just don't know that his star would get any brighter than after a 12-ish win season at Florida State, coming off a 3-6 season 3 years prior, and having maybe the worst offensive line in the Power 5 to then go win 22 games or 21 games in 2 years. I just don't know what opportunity I think it all matters about the opportunity. Like, I don't know that he's in a rush to be a head coach, but I also know if you wait too long, those opportunities, what if you go back and have a 6-6 season the next year? You need to strike when it's hot, man. And so I think his name will come up if they have another good year. And I think it's just a matter of if you're talking about Tulane, because I don't know, then I know Tulane's job isn't coming up. I'm using that as an example. Tulsa, or if you're talking about a Power 5 school. Because I think if a Power 5 school comes open and offers him the head coaching job, he will say yes, as would everyone else, as did Mike Norvell. Like, a better job comes open, you say yes, especially a head coaching job. I don't know if he's going to want to prove himself at a place like Tulsa or UTEP or wherever, East Carolina, because the money would be about the same. They could get to whatever East Carolina is going to pay the head coach just to remain at Florida State as the OC. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's the math he has to do in his head, is what he wants to do. It really kind of all depends if he wants to run the show or not.
I don't know if
what could Florida State do? I mean, you can't offer him $7 million.
Yeah.
You could bump him up, sure, but at some point you're going to bump your head on the ceiling of what you can pay an offensive coordinator that doesn't call plays. And God love him, I'm not diminishing his role on the team. He's an incredible offensive line coach and apparently a very good offensive coordinator. But the fact that he doesn't call plays, will that hurt him?
Yeah.
When teams are looking for a head coach, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can share this. I mean, I'll say it, and then Corey can tell me. I'll delete it if I can't. But I remember, like, Ira saying that we should probably also factor in, like, the level of belief that a guy like Atkins has in Norvell, and, like, maybe there's more to learn. So, like, he'd want to stick around so that he could be that much more groomed and prepared when he does get an offer somewhere, in terms of, like, being in a, because, listen, people like me feel this, like, yeah, like, listen, you've done good. There's a head coaching job out there. It's going to be a tripling your salary. What's to think about? Take it. But you're in a good spot here. You're coaching for somebody that apparently is a pretty easy guy to work with. He's made it successful, and you're seeing firsthand how to take something from the absolute ruins and restore it. Like, why not? There's got to be more to learn than just what you've learned in 4 years. So maybe you do want to stick around. But I think that's a little bit idyllic.
Yeah, look, man. I mean, at the end of the day, who among us is going to turn down triple our salary?
No.
And we're not talking going from $40,000 to $120,000 or whatever. We're talking about going not just from whatever he makes. I'd guess he makes
he's 800, I think
800,
900 somewhere.
So it's not just $2.5 million that he'd be getting. It's $2.5 million guaranteed over like a 4 or 5 year deal. So you are now talking about $10 million that you absolutely have, that is there for you forever. If you sign that dotted line, you are guaranteed of $10 million. Man, that's a hard thing to expect someone to say no to because they like learning from Norvell. So he'd have to have the patience of Job to be like, okay, I'll stop. I will not take this job at wherever, East Carolina, that's going to offer me a guaranteed contract of $8 or $9 million for the possibility that maybe I'll run Florida State one day. I mean, I don't know what else Florida State could do other than to say, we want you to be our next head coach. But who's older, him or Norvell? Like, aren't they the same age? So there's a chance Norvell's here for another 15 years. And if he's not, he might get fired. And if he's fired, you don't take somebody from the staff that just got fired. So anyway, the point being, it's going to be really hard in the long term in this day and age to keep someone like Alex Atkins. He's just too good.
Yeah, and apparently both him and Adam Fuller are making over $1 million this year. So sorry about that. I mean,
they're certainly competitive with the prices. It's just they're not. It's not like a 9-year deal for $1 million.
Yeah.
You know, they as soon as he signs as a Power 5 head coach, or a head coach probably anywhere, but especially Power 5.
5 years minimum. Like your contract is a 5-year minimum, probably.
5-year minimum, probably $3 million minimum. Like, what did Dillingham just get? Let me look that up. You read the next question.
There was something I wanted to add to this. Yeah, what he's asking, like, who we could keep on staff here, and I know his folks on Alex Atkins are like, what if things don't work out in Boston College this year for Jeff Hafley, and they win a national championship? Like, I wonder if like Adam Fuller, like I wonder if one of your coordinators would, your other coordinator. I know it's crazy for so many people to think that he's lousy or whatever, and I'm not here to argue that, but Alex Atkins might not be the only person ripe to get poached if some other bad things happen across the nation and this team fulfills this ceiling that we've kind of set for them.
So yeah, Dillingham signed a 5-year deal paying him $3.85 million a year at Arizona State. So he is guaranteed, if he does not win a single game in Tempe, he is guaranteed of making $19.2 million. I mean, come on. And I'll be honest with you, I texted this to you and Ira. He was at the Suns playoff game last night, and he tweeted it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's on the front row. He's sitting in the front row at a Phoenix Suns playoff game. Yeah. I mean,
the Harlem Globetrotters were here the other night in Tallahassee. I mean, maybe.
Oh, all right, nice. Maybe Norvell was there.
Yeah.
Maybe Norvell was there, tweeting from the front row.
All right, last one. Random_John. I haven't read this one. We'll do it together, everybody. See how it goes. I usually try to screen some of these questions. Good morning, Aslan and Corey. May the day find you better than the feelings of FSU's baseball team, men's basketball team, and FSU's jilted defensive line.
No.
And with that, let's jump into my not negative but more realistic view of where we are. Man, oh man, FSU's baseball team, where do I even start? It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion, isn't it? The big question on my mind is, why the heck didn't the head coach try to grab some fresh pitching talent from the portal? Like, come on, dude. Link knew things were going south. As Corey said, Link warned us about the pitching, so why not try to save the sinking ship? And don't even get me started on the current pitching staff. It's like they've got some kind of anti-Midas touch, making this year's pitchers even worse than last year. Talk about a serious bummer. All right, we can go with that one. He's got a basketball one. You want to hear the basketball one too right now, or do you want to attack the baseball
let's go.
one?
Let's get it all out at once.
As for the basketball team, it's like we're all just waiting for that moment when we can throw our hands up and say enough is enough. But then good old Ira comes along telling us to hang in there. It's like being stuck in a never-ending cycle of hope and disappointment. Is it time to finally let go, or should we keep hanging on to this toxic relationship that's dragging us further into basketball's version of oblivion? And then there's Joshua Farmer. Man, it's tough being an FSU fan these days. But hey, at least we're going to beat LSU and Clemson, right? Right? Keeping it real and sarcastic, he puts parenthetically. Your sports talking FSU loving pal, random_John, go Noles.
I was gonna say I don't. Oh, that was random_John. That's funny. I don't think he really equates losing Josh Farmer to, or I guess potentially losing Josh Farmer to the sad days of the basketball and baseball team. Josh Farmer, we hope he's a good player. Well, hey, we hope he's still a good player at Florida State. His name's not in that portal yet. You got to believe. Now, we're recording this at a certain time on Wednesday, so who knows what ends up happening. But, with the baseball team, man, there were clearly some misreads and some mistakes. Now, I don't know how much time they had to look at their staff. They have a lot of freshmen. They honored those commitments. And quite frankly, some of those freshmen might end up being good. None of them are good right now. I guess Arnold's the best of the bunch, and he's certainly had his ups and downs. But, yes, it was a misstep to not attack the portal. They got one pitcher out of the portal, right, Aslan? And
Oxford,
it was the kid from Wake that's having his worst year of his career. It just been you can't even use him. He's almost unpitchable at this point. So that's not good. So I think it looks like from the sign of things that maybe they're attacking the JUCO ranks hard, and they need to. I don't know. You can wait for the portal to open up, and I guess it opens up. I don't know when the baseball portal opens up. June 15th, July 1st. Who knows? But you can wait for that. I get it. But you've got to have a much better, and I think they will. They're living this. Like, this affects them a lot more than it affects us. So they know they can't keep doing this. This is not fun for them. They have to go get better pitchers. I would argue they could maybe coach them better, but they have to go get better pitchers and have a competitive pitching staff, because this isn't it. And I think that will come through the portal, and I think that will come through the JUCO ranks. I don't know if Link had enough time, perhaps, to get kids out of the portal. He got the Oxford kid, but I don't know that he had enough time to get other guys. Clearly he didn't, because I can't imagine he looked at this staff and thought, yeah, we're set. We got everything we need. And, look, we do have to give them the caveat that or not the caveat, we do have to give them the excuse that, their best pitcher, who was one of the best pitchers in the country, is done. It has not pitched in, since this whole debacle started. Why it coincided with Wyatt Crowell not pitching. So that does play a role in it, because that's a lot of innings of really good pitching you lost. Still, the other guys have not stepped up in his absence, clearly. And I think they would still be having probably the worst season in school history anyway, but it wouldn't be laughably bad. But yeah, the mistakes, right? They didn't do enough in the portal. You can say they didn't have enough time or whatever. They got Oxford. That was a mistake. They could have gone and gotten – there are other pitchers out there all over this great country that would give one of their fingers to pitch at Florida State.
Yes.
Go find them. Good pitchers, I should say.
In 2023, players had 45 days after May 29th to enter the portal. The deadline was July 13th, so his season was over. He had some time. And then the second window opened up in December.
So you're saying, okay, but July 13th was when it ended in 2022, when he took over?
Yeah.
So that isn't a ton of time. When was he hired? I'll look that up.
Man.
Yeah, he was. You're right. But it had to be middle or late June, because it was after Notre Dame was ousted. Yeah, so Link was hired June 24th, and you said the deadline was what?
July 13th.
So, he had 3 weeks. That's not a ton of time, but it's enough time to...
Yeah, but you're moving to a town it was like he was busy with his real estate needs and figuring out what side of town he wanted to live on with his wife,
Yeah.
So some of that stuff was taken off their plate. I just don't know, maybe they thought they were going to be able to transform Carson Montgomery and Jackson Baumeister into what they were projected as coming out of high school, and then you got Wyatt Crowell to put out fires 2 days a week, and then everybody else is good enough. Maybe they just saw the good in everything.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently it hasn't worked out. Best case scenario. Basketball team, Corey, take a shot. Is it enough? Is it finally time to let go?
No.
Or should we keep hanging?
No, we got you. No, I wouldn't call it a toxic relationship. I wouldn't phrase it like that or term it that. It was a bad year and a half, an awful year and a half. But again, we're getting to the end of the line, obviously. And so you hope he can end on a positive note and a positive uptick. I really want to see. I got to see at least one more transfer come in that actually gets you perked up a little bit. The Primo Spears kid is a very, very big deal for Florida State, because he gives you a true point guard. But how's he going to fit in with the culture? Can he guard? Can he switch? What are you going to do defensively? I don't know. I think, again, who have you lost? You lost Mills, Cleveland, and McLeod, right?
Yeah.
Those are the 3 that have entered the portal.
Oh.
To me, my way of thinking, you've lost Cleveland. The other 2 aren't losses at all. They are actually positives, because you aren't going to feel the need to put them on the court. So getting them away from the program, God love them. I hope they're awesome kids. I never really got to talk to either one of them. Naheem actually did seem like a really cool kid, but he was not a good basketball player in this system. He didn't need to be out there stealing minutes from anyone. So that won't be an option anymore. So you're upgrading at center. You're upgrading at whatever position that was that Mills played, in my opinion. Cleveland is a loss. That's a big loss. But maybe Baba Miller takes a step, man. There is talent in there, and he's got a whole season and a whole off season. I think probably, honestly, I would say he's more talented than Matthew Cleveland. But Matthew Cleveland has done it. Baba Miller has done jack squat, and there's no guarantee he will do jack squat. There's a lot of talented kids that play college basketball that never reach their full potential. It's a really interesting year for him. But yeah, all that aside, this is a basketball season. I get it. You've got to go get one more guy, man. You've got to get one more guy. And I don't think many Florida State fans would be upset if maybe another person or 2 currently on the roster decides to portal it up. But I guess their deadline is the same as football, right? I assume the 30th is the last day for basketball players too.
No, I think winter sports have a different one.
I mean, it's What are we doing? Just make it year round. Who cares? Kid has a bad game on a Saturday. He can go play for Duke on a Tuesday. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to any of this anymore.
Also, I should correct myself here, and this is a big correction. Sorry,
okay.
everybody. So reassess everything that we've said in the last 5 minutes.
Oh, no.
Transfer portal this year, 2023, will close July 13th for baseball.
Right.
Last year, 2022, it closed on July 1st.
Okay. Well, hey, Link.
Sorry, Link. Sorry about that.
That's our bad, dog.
My bad.
That's our bad.
So
Aslan misspoke. Yeah, you had 5 days.
You had a week.
Apparently, that wasn't enough time. Clearly, we don't blame you for that. That's tough timing, buddy. That is tough timing. That makes me.
That makes you feel a lot better? I feel better now.
Absolutely. Not only does it make me feel better, it genuinely excites me about. So he's going to have. I mean, look, man, their season's going to be over in 3 weeks. They don't got to worry about regionals or anything like that. They're going to have a head start on everyone to go get, and they're going to have to. He's going to have a full. Honestly, he's going to have a full 2 months to go get players, and that genuinely excites me about what he can do with this program, with his coaching acumen, with his coaching history, the tradition, probably some NIL backers. I'm genuinely excited about what kind of roster he can put together. I mean, I'm for him going Dion on this thing. Just go scorched earth. Tell Tibbs and Ferrer and Cam Smith, I love you. You're here. Everybody else, turn in your iPads, turn in your playbooks. Obviously he's not going to do that, but there's going to be a lot of turnover, and luckily he's going to have 2 full months to do it, as opposed to 5 days.
I got my DeMarini bag. Hit it. You're out of here. Let me see here. Window for NCAA basketball, 60 days after the conclusion of the regular season conference tournaments.
Okay.
Deadline would be May 11th.
Okay. All right. Okay. So they all fluctuate a little bit. It's weird. Why would the baseball deadline be July 13th one year and then July 1st the next year?
Well, because they did the whole windows thing. I guess it used to be just 60 days period. Now it's like 2 windows.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
So just like football, right? After they do conferences in December and then, whatever we're going through right now. So
Gotcha. All right.
One of these days I'll be able to read and talk better. Today wasn't that day.
So we're all holding out hope, Aslan. We're all holding out hope. It's going to come together for you.
I just wish they'd make these things a little bit more easy to read. Like I Google basketball transfer portal dates, and it's like buried in a wall of text. It's like, can I get some bullet points? This would be a nice bullet point thing to put in there, but I'm not an editor.
Right.
I video edit. I just don't edit words. Anyhow, all right, we're done.
Hey, we're not doing a show tomorrow, right? Probably
Friday? Probably not, but that's why this show went a little bit longer. It'll tide you over, so hopefully you rationed it out properly.
But we'd like to wish everyone a happy first round of the NFL draft.
Yeah,
that's tonight. So
yeah.
I don't think a Florida State player will be selected. That would be the biggest upset in Florida State draft history if that happened. But either way, I hope your team, whoever you cheer for, drafts somebody you're excited about.
I don't know. You'd be more surprised than Ponder going first round if Jamie were to go first round?
Yes.
Okay.
No, it wasn't even that Ponder went first round. I wasn't necessarily surprised by that. I think he went like 9th. That was what was pretty surprising. I thought he'd be like a back half of the first round guy.
I was in Montana, and the SID for the Montana State basketball team, huge diehard Vikings fan, and he's like, I can't believe we just did that. I'm like, dude, you're fine. I'm like, he's money.
Yeah,
he's
really
money.
good.
You're going to be in great hands.
Hey, he's better than Tebow. He was better than Tebow at least, so he had that going for him.
Oh, gosh. All right. Stay connected at warchant.com, the ultimate Seminoles sports source. Again, we'll have a live recruiting chat at 6 p.m., myself and Michael Langston. I think it's going to be B.J. Gibson who's going to hop on with us and talk about his commitment. So,
ask him about baseball, too. I'm genuinely curious, like, what he thinks he's going to play. Like, because he pitches some, but what position he plays, and ask him why not all their games are on Game Changer. I wanted to look up all his stats. I can't believe what happened. But, I am genuinely curious about what position he plays.
Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 3 o'clock on 93.3 FM, as well as Warchant TV. That's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it, please. Thumbs up, 5-star rating and review. He's Corey Aslan. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.